My recommendation is to really just break it down into different steps or different parts. So when we talk about an accommodation, we just talk through what we call the interactive process. And so I'll just kind of outline the different steps that you should consider when you are, going through that interactive process. So one, you want to just recognize the need for an accommodation. So this can be as simple as the employee asking or stating that they're not able to do something, a part of their job, or it could be a note coming from the doctor. It also can just be an interaction that you have with the employee. So you may be talking to your employee and they say to their manager, I'm having a really hard time getting to work because I have this health condition and I'm taking medicine and it's making it difficult to get up early in the morning. Those conversations or those words should really trigger an employer to start the interactive process. So it doesn't always necessarily have to be the employee coming forth to their manager saying, I need an accommodation. It can happen kind of through different conversations, or again, as I mentioned, like a note from the doctor. So we'll say like that's step one. So then the next step we would say was you need to gather information. So this can include documentation from a provider stating that there's a medical need and a recommendation or a suggested ask. Now, I would like to say, in a perfect world, you'll have a provider give you a note that has a lot of information that says it's their health condition and this is the ask. But unfortunately, it's not always perfect and simple like that. And so you might have an employer or a provider say, my patient has a health condition, but they don't say what the actual ask is. And so although it might be that request might be missing, part of the interactive process is for the employer to determine, okay, what are the accommodations that we could put in place? So once that's kind of been determined, the next step in the process would be to start exploring options. So once we've identified what the issue is or what the ask is, they'd want to determine, their job duties and what the options are. So it's really up to the employer, if the provider does not provide what the accommodation is, to explore what that accommodation or accommodations could be. And a lot of the times that conversation should include the employee. They should be part of this discussion, and that's why it's called interactive. Interactive with the provider, interactive with the manager, interactive with the employee. So as the manager and the employee are exploring options of an accommodation, once it's been explored, that step's been completed, we need the employer to put the accommodation into place. So identifying what the ask is, and then determining, okay, when will it start? Is there an end date? And what does the details of that look like? So for example, breaks, right? You might put in extra breaks. Well, what is an extra break? Is it an extra 5-minute break? Is it a break every hour? Is it every 4 hours? Excuse me. So just really getting into the details of what that accommodation is. So once all that's been explored, you're going to put the accommodation into place. And it could be putting a new schedule in. It could be buying equipment, make adjustments to the work setting. So it's just continuing down the path of getting that accommodation into place. And then once that's been done, you want it documented. So you want to make sure you put it in writing, make sure that it's very clear to the employee, to the manager. And then my recommendation is to always do check-ins. So, make sure that accommodation is in place and it's working. And so I recommend, every maybe essentially, or starting off like every 30 days. And then, after 30 days, if it looks good, check-in's good, maybe you follow up in 6 months or a year. So just really not just assuming the accommodation is working and continue to have conversations with the employee just to make sure that it is in place and it's meeting their needs and they're now able to do their job with those accommodations in place.